Alright, so as you all know, about a week ago, I bought myself a Mustang GT. It's a 2019 GT Premium 401A with the Performance Pack with not the best tires. I'm still working on getting PS4s for it. But anyways, today's video, since I've already done a 5 things I love about my Mustang GT, I'm going to be doing a 5 things I hate about my Mustang GT. So let's hop right into the video. The first thing I want to talk about is the 10R80 automatic transmission. Now, this isn't a bad transmission overall. I absolutely love the 10-speed. When you're trying to be soft with the car, it'll upshift into 10th at low speeds to save your gas mileage. And when you're trying to be hard on the car and go fast, it will keep the car in its power band very, very well. But I do want to talk about the transition into third gear in this vehicle, especially in sport mode, drag strip mode, or in sport mode when downshifting and upshifting. It's very harsh compared to every other gear in the car. It'll shift into 2nd, 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th very well. But into third, it is very, very harsh. Sometimes even in normal mode, at times it can be very, very harsh. So if you are thinking about getting a Mustang GT with the 10-speed automatic, keep that in mind. Another thing I want to talk about the transmission is it short shifts into 7th gear. I know if you tune the car, it solves this problem, but if you do not and you keep your GT stock, it will short shift into 7th gear around 6,500 RPMs, while the other gears, it'll let them ride out all the way up to redline. But in the Mustang GT, you do short shift into 7th gear around 6,500 RPMs from 6th if you do not have the car tuned. So keep that in mind because it is very, very annoying. And usually against tuned GTs, like my friend Jacob's, his is tuned so he doesn't short shift into 7th and around 7th gear when he was on his 91 tune. That is really where he started to pull on me, was when he shifted into 7th, because he would short shift and I would lose all that power. All right, so the next thing I want to talk about is starting the car in different exhaust modes. Now, in the Mustang GT, you can only start the car in normal or quiet. And I'll show you right now that it'll still let me select track. So I can select track right here. I'm in accessory mode, by the way. So I have track selected. I'm going to go ahead and start the car. It didn't sound like track. And I'm going to go to the exhaust modes. And I'm in normal mode right now. It changed me from track to normal mode. Now, you can start the car in quiet mode if you would like, which you can change when you go into accessory mode, but you can't start the car in sport or track, which means you don't get those nicer full valve open exhaust startups in the morning for cold starts or anything like that, which sucks because the Camaro you can start in its performance exhaust mode, but you can't do it in the Mustang GT, so it mutes that wonderful V8. All right, so I'm sitting in the back, which means I'm very slouched down, but I do get a wonderful view from the back window. So I'm in the back of the car, and the reason is because in this Mustang GT, it was a little less of a problem in my EcoBoost, but in this Mustang GT, I can hear rattles coming from the rear of the car all the time, especially when the car is going at high speeds. As you can see, my chair is violently shaking in front of me. And I have no idea why, because it doesn't do that when it's in its normal position. Yeah, so anyways, guys, the rattles in the rear of the car, and I'll get it a lot from the doors too, there's just so many of them. And the EcoBoost wasn't a big problem, but I heard from a lot of GT owners that the rattle was very, very, very bad in the Mustangs, especially the GTs, and Jake was telling me about this. And I can definitely see why he was complaining, because the rattles back here under load when the car is moving at all, they're just annoying to listen to, especially when you just buy the car and you're like, oh, this is such a great car, and then you hear just like a sound from the rear and you're just like, ooh, that's not very nice. All right, so the next thing I want to talk about is actually the width of the rear tires. If you get a Mustang GT with no upgrades, you're getting 235s all around, which is the worst tire setup for a car that makes 460 horsepower and 420 pound-feet of torque ever. Why? No idea, Ford, but that's a terrible idea. But this is the performance pack, so I get 255s up front and 275s in the rear. But I still managed to spin. I think the Mustang GT is perfect on 305s because it doesn't spin. And I know that from experience because I've been in a Mustang GT with 305s that rockets off the line. But with these tires, even the 275s being wider than the standard 235s on it, just spin like crazy. Not to mention these are all seasons, which is what the dealership put on the car when I bought it, even though it had PS4s on it before I bought it with like 70% tread life left. Now I get liability issues and everything like that. I would have been willing to take on the liability problem to have PS4s because they're like $450 a tire. And now I have to spend that $450 replacing the tires with PS4s. But anyways, I just wish they were wider, and I wish I didn't get all seasons like are on this car right now. So when I do get the chance, they're going to be 305 PS4s. Yeah. Stay tuned for that, because I'm going to do a video about all the modifications I'm going to be doing to this car. So this next thing I want to talk about, and it's not necessarily pertaining to my Mustang, but new 2022 Mustangs that are going to be coming out for next year. They now make 450 horsepower instead of the normal 460 the Mustang GTs made since 2018. Before that was 435. But now they're going to be making 450 horsepower due to emissions regulations that have been placed on Ford. And it's kind of sad. I mean, I get it. 10 horsepower is not that much. You're probably never going to notice 10 horsepower, but it's the principle of it. You're taking power away from your V8 flagship sports car. It just sucks. I just feel like there is a better way. That could have been something could have been done. But nope. So if you're buying a 2022, beware, because you're going to have 10 less horsepower than the rest of the Mustangs out there. So those are 5 things I hate about my Mustang GT. 5. But the pros of this car far outweigh the cons of it, and I still absolutely stand by all the things I said before in my prior video about this car. I'm going to be doing more videos about all the modifications I'm going to be doing to it. Spoiler alert, long tube headers, Corsa Extreme, JLT intake, and a 91 tune. And we might go E85 flex, but I'm not sure about that. Maybe shoot for 500 to the wheels. But anyways, guys, if you like the video, make sure you hit that thumbs up button down below. And if you want to see more from us, make sure you subscribe so you can see more car reviews, drag races, and videos like this where I talk about my own car. Anyways, I will see you all in the next video.